Okay, imagine this. The roads you drive on starting to crumble, maybe the house you want taking way longer to get built, big infrastructure projects just slowing down. This is a real challenge building up in the U.S. construction industry. And today on the deep dive, we're digging into the forces behind this, forces really reshaping a core part of our economy.
Welcome to the deep dive. Yeah, today we're looking hard at this severe labor shortage in U.S. construction. And it's not some abstract thing, right? It's already messing with project timelines. It's pushing up costs. You can already feel the ripples across the whole job market.
Right. And our mission here really is to cut through some of the noise. We want to give you a clear, solid look at what's actually going on. We'll get into the root causes behind this crunch, look at the impacts, economic, human, and probably most important, explore some potential solutions based on the latest research and reports we've looked at. This isn't just about concrete and steel. It's really about our ability as a country to, well, to build and grow.
Exactly. And the numbers, they really highlight how urgent this is. The vacancy rate across the whole construction sector, it's jumped to 4.5% in the latest figures we have, which is a pretty big leap from 3.2% just the year before that.
Wow, 4.5%. That's a significant jump in just 12 months. And it's interesting how it breaks down, isn't it? Like, residential construction is feeling it really badly, 4.8% vacancy, up from 3.5.
And commercial isn't far behind. That's at 4.2%, up from 3.0%. Even essential infrastructure work, roads, bridges, that's struggling too. 4.0% vacant jobs, up from 2.8.
So across the board increases. And you mentioned year-over-year growth.
Yeah, drilling down a bit, we see this really alarming 25% increase in unfilled positions, just comparing this year to last year. Basically, for every 4 empty jobs last year, there are 5 this year. It's a gap that's widening fast.
A 25% increase.
Yeah.
That's stark. And connecting that to the map, it's not hitting everywhere equally, right? Our sources show it varies a lot by region.
Absolutely. States with huge construction activity, think California, Texas, Florida, they're definitely among the hardest hit. And it makes sense, right? Massive projects, huge demand for workers.
Yeah, high demand states feeling it most. And is there like an urban versus rural split too?
Generally, yes. Major cities, Dallas, maybe Miami, places with dense construction,
Yeah.
they tend to see more severe shortages, just more competition for workers in those areas compared to
Yep.
maybe more rural spots.
Yeah.
Which, leads us to the big question, what's actually causing all this?
Okay, yeah, one huge piece seems to be the aging workforce. There's a big retirement wave coming, or maybe it's already started. Construction has an older workforce, predominantly male, higher median age than a lot of other sectors. So you have a big chunk of experienced people nearing retirement age.
And when they leave, it's not just bodies leaving the job site. It's decades of experience, know-how, that tacit knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It just walks out the door.
Exactly. That knowledge transfer piece is critical, isn't it? Losing the craft almost.
It really is. It's like losing the industry's memory, that practical skill built up over years, replacing that. That's tough. It could really slow down projects in the future, make them less efficient.
Yeah, it's a quiet kind of crisis brewing there with the demographics. And then layered on top of that, our sources are definitely pointing to less interest from younger generations.
hmm There's a perception issue, it seems. A lot of young people maybe see construction as, just physically demanding, maybe not rewarding enough in the ways they're looking for.
Right, compared to other industries that maybe seem to offer, I don't know, better work-life balance or different career paths they find more appealing.
Exactly. Younger folks often have different priorities, different ideas of a good career. So construction faces this big challenge.
Mm.
How do you make the industry look attractive, like a viable long-term option again?
And then there's the whole immigration policy angle. That comes up quite a bit in the research.
It does. Changes to visa rules, stricter regulations. They've definitely tightened the supply of foreign labor. Things like the caps on H-2B visas, for example, which are used for temporary non-ag workers.
Mm-hmm.
Changes there squeeze the pipeline.
Especially for skilled roles, right? It's not just general labor.
Precisely. Certain skilled trades often relied more heavily on that flow of labor. So restrictions there just add another layer to the shortage.
Okay, so aging workforce, declining youth interest, immigration changes, quite a mix. Let's talk about the economic impact then. What's the immediate fallout?
Well, the most direct thing is rising labor costs.
Yeah.
It's simple supply and demand, really. Fewer workers available means contractors have to pay more, higher wages, better benefits, just to attract and keep the people they need. It's a very competitive market right now.
And I bet that's especially true for the really skilled trades, right? Electricians, welders, people like that.
Oh, absolutely. If you have those specialized skills, you are in demand, big time. And compensation reflects that, which, of course, feeds directly into higher overall project costs.
Which then leads to delays, budget problems.
Exactly. It's a cascade effect. Not enough workers means projects just take longer. And longer timelines plus those higher labor costs we just talked about, that equals budget overruns, almost inevitably.
Yeah, we saw some pretty stark examples, like one major U.S. infrastructure project delayed 6 months, cost up 15%, and they directly linked it to not having enough workers.
And that's not an isolated case. We see specific data points. Infrastructure Project A, meant to finish in 2023, actually wrapped June 2023, 10% over budget.
Right, and there was Commercial Building B, December 2022, became March 2023, 12% cost overrun.
And Residential Complex C, similar story. March 2023 slipped to June 2023, 8% over budget. The pattern is pretty clear.
And all of this, it must hit housing affordability, right, if building new homes costs more.
It absolutely does. That's a direct line for you, the consumer. Higher labor costs get passed on the price of new homes. Plain and simple. Makes it tougher for a lot of people to afford buying.
Okay, so the economic ripples are wide. What about the folks already working in construction? How is this shortage affecting them?
Oh, it's having a huge impact. The existing workforce, they're carrying a much heavier load. Longer hours are common, often taking on more complex tasks because, well, there just aren't enough people to go around.
That sounds like a recipe for burnout. Are there numbers on that?
There are. Our sources show average overtime hours shot up 15% in the last year alone. And get this, 62% of workers say they feel more fatigued. Plus, nearly half of employers, 45%, are worried about what that constant overtime is doing to worker health long term.
62% feeling more tired. Wow, that's a lot. But I guess on the flip side, for those workers, the tight market probably means better pay and benefits.
That's the silver lining, yes. Companies are definitely competing hard for talent. So we're seeing not just higher hourly wages, but much more competitive benefits packages being offered.
Like what specifically?
Things like better health insurance options, more robust retirement plans, maybe with employer matching contributions, more paid time off, vacation days. Companies know they need to sweeten the deal to attract and, crucially, retain the workers they have. But again, that adds to their operating costs.
Right, it's all connected. But there's a darker side to that increased workload and fatigue too, isn't there?
Yeah.
Safety.
Yes, absolutely. That's a major concern. Overworked people, tired people, they're unfortunately more prone to accidents. And the data backs this up. Studies show a correlation. When there are labor shortages in construction, accident rates tend to go up.
That's worrying. And if the shortage continues...
That trend is likely to continue too, unless something changes. It really puts pressure on companies. They need to double down on safety protocols, maybe look at new training methods, perhaps even use technology differently to, reduce some of the physical strain, make sure people aren't pushed beyond safe limits.
That safety piece is critical. It really highlights the pressure cooker this shortage creates on the ground.
So, okay, we've laid out the problems, the impacts. What about solutions? What's the industry looking at to try and fix this?
Well, one big push is definitely around vocational training and apprenticeships, investing more there, partnerships with trade schools, community colleges, creating clearer, more accessible paths for young people to actually learn these skilled trades. That directly tackles that declining interest issue we talked about.
Yeah, building the pipeline back up. Makes sense.
What else?
Technology is another big one. We're seeing more interest in things like prefabrication, building components off-site in a factory setting, then assembling them on-site. That can reduce the need for so much on-site labor.
Ah, okay, and robotics too.
And robotics, yeah, for certain tasks.
Yeah.
Especially repetitive ones or maybe high-risk jobs. It's about efficiency, using the workforce you do have more effectively, working smarter.
Using tech to stretch the workforce and maybe make the jobs safer or less physically demanding in some cases. And what about just the image of construction? Is anything happening there?
Definitely. There's a real need for an industry-wide effort to change perceptions, to show construction as, a modern field, technologically advanced, offering good careers, not just the old stereotypes. Marketing campaigns aimed at high schools, reaching out to career counselors, showing the variety of skilled jobs available.
Trying to make it appealing again to younger generations. Got it. And finally, any policy levers that could be pulled.
Policy is key too. Reforms, particularly around immigration, that could maybe make it easier for skilled foreign workers to come in, especially when the domestic supply is so tight. That could provide some relief, at least short term.
A temporary fix while the longer-term solutions like training ramp up.
Potentially, yes. And also Things like consistent, sustained government funding for infrastructure projects. That creates more predictability for contractors, makes them more willing to invest in long-term workforce development, knowing the work will likely be there.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. We've dug into this uh, pretty complex construction labor shortage. We've seen the numbers, rising vacancies, the aging workforce issue. We've looked at the economic impacts, project costs, delays, housing affordability, and the serious effects on the existing workers from workload to safety. But we've also touched on potential ways forward, boosting training, embracing tech, changing the industry's image, and potential policy adjustments.
Right. And understanding all these pieces, how they fit together, it's really essential for anyone who cares about the U.S. economy, our infrastructure, how we build our future, basically. This shortage touches so much of our daily lives, even if we don't always see the direct connection immediately.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with maybe a final thought for you to consider. If this construction labor shortage keeps getting worse, how might it fundamentally change things? Not just how we build, but maybe our national priorities around education, around vocational training, maybe even how we develop our communities in the decades ahead. What might we be forced to rethink?